Let's roll. And
Going once, going twice, sold! You're listening to The Property Pod, an accessible and easy way to get into or help understand the goings-on of the property market. Join Aaron, John and Pat as they discuss all things real estate, most likely get sidetracked, and then try and rein it all back in as they present The Property Pod.
that's right, listeners. We are back and we're already sidetracked. We are a little bit late with the recording today. It's because our boy John McGregor has been out of the studio for way too long and we've been catching up with all his kilt activities. Welcome back, J-Mac.
Woo! How are you, boys?
Oh, you're as excited as we are. Mate, where have you been? Tell us all about this Edinburgh tattooing.
So every time I say I was at the tattoo, everyone kept thinking, you guys getting like family tattoos? Like, what's the deal? No, but it's a hangover from every year they've had the Edinburgh military tattoo where you've got all these different bands and performers that get into Edinburgh Castle where it's all been set up and then they just do a massive performance.
My dad used to watch it on TV. He used to love it. He'd go, oh, the tattoo's on tonight. I'd be like,
Yeah.
Dad,
Well-
this is not fun, but he loved it.
Hey, going into it was awesome because they actually, the part that we played is every night they had an opening ceremony and they had whichever clans wanted to participate along with the international clan bands. And so it was at the ANZ Park at Sydney and the backdrop was this big mock-up castle.
Oh, so they had a big fake castle.
Yeah, big fake castle. And behind, like, we marched to one left-hand side and the international clan bands on the right-hand side. But just as a side note, the lady one of the servicemen that was coordinating it all, she was announcing the different clan names that was to go next. And then when she called the McGregors, she said, and now my personal favourite tartan, the McGregors. Oh. So all 50 of us got to go, yeah, shove it to them.
My man,
Yeah.
the best tartan in town.
I can't tell the difference between the tartans. They all look the same.
Except ours looks the best. That's all.
Alrighty. Well, J-Mac is back on the deck. Paddy B has his shoulders aren't as heavy anymore because I clearly know nothing about real estate and Pat was doing all the heavy lifting the last 2 weeks.
Knows not much more.
Yeah, but
It's good to have John back.
you fake it till you make it and I just admit that I know nothing.
I have a lot of segues that don't always work.
But we're lucky enough to have a special guest this week and funnily enough, it is the interviewer becoming the interviewee.
Hey.
We've milked it a fair bit on our notoriety in the Mercury, but this week we have Jarrad Bevan from the Mercury in with us at the desk. How are you, Jarrad?
Good. How you doing?
Yeah, really well. Thank you for coming in and giving us your morning. Sorry that you're caught up in our little rendezvous with John. We've just missed him a fair bit in the last 2 weeks.
It's all good.
As you can see from the start, he's got a lot of personality and yeah, it's been hard without him.
Well, mate, it's good to have you here too, because if you're the one that helped give us that initial boost back when you and Roger came out with the first article. So, mate, thanks for
It
joining
was
us.
awesome. I think we went from 8 listeners to 9 listeners.
At least it wasn't 8 to 7.
I like that. So, Jarrad, can you tell us, we know a little bit about you, but can you tell the listeners out there a little bit about yourself, how you got into, I guess, journalism and a little bit about yourself?
So at school, I was always good at English. I started to do some writing for like street press and stuff when I was in my late teens so I could get free CDs and get into concerts.
I love it.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
That was the plan.
Yeah.
Which kind of worked really well because I worked my way into the Mercury on a similar sort of story.
So working for free.
Or getting free stuff.
Or getting free stuff.
Getting into things for free, yeah, absolutely. And that little CD collection turned into like 1,000 CDs, just like taking up my whole garage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got into the Mercury basically by pestering the editor at the time, saying like, oh, look at this music story, like there's like 6 mistakes in it. And Gary Bailey, being who he was like, can you do better? So that was my opportunity.
Yeah.
I've already fixed them.
So yeah, I freelanced for the Mercury for a couple of years.
So how do you move from music into real estate? editorial?
That's
like
pivot.
Yeah, it's
No.
quite the pivot, yeah.
When I started at the Mercury, I was doing anything. I was doing advertising features for businesses. I was doing, going to a fire on the weekends, chasing ambulances, whatever came across my desk.
Yep.
And the real estate, sort of like come fill in for 2 weeks doing real estate, which I enjoyed. And maybe maybe 8 years ago, it became more of a full-time thing, which worked really well for me. I was always into art and design and that sort of stuff, and so architecture sort of goes hand in hand with that. And
It's kind of a grown-up version of all the stuff that you want to do,
yeah. So it all sort of blended in together. And then I realised that it was actually a really good beat to work on because you're mostly dealing with people who are really happy and excited or proud of what they've built or just thrilled to be able to buy a house these days.
Yeah, for sure.
And
So like the good news stories are easy to write.
Absolutely. And you don't have like, you write a politics story and then everybody's mad at you. I don't have that drama. So
you don't have to like scroll through the Mercury's feedback section at the bottom of an article reading all your haters.
never read the comments.
See, I do. I love the comments. And I like to be keyboard warrior back. I'm like, you're an idiot.
Pat's got 35 different accounts that just come through and attacks them.
That's why we don't have Pat on the social medias for the property pod. What do you mean you thought we were sidetracked? I guess I was wondering, I found getting into this podcasting game as I knew nothing about real estate, and then kind of these guys have helped me understand it more. Now I look into articles about things and find myself interested in it from the outset. Switching from, say, music as a passion, like ideally, did you think I'm going to get into the thing and I'm going to be a music journalist for the Rolling Stone, or like, was there this great idea to be, this is what I want to be, and now you've pivoted in another direction?
Kind of. I did write a couple of things for Rolling Stone a zillion years ago.
Nice.
Which was cool. And I thought that was like a moment. I was like, everything's happening.
Yeah.
And then I realised Hobart is a really long way away from where everything is happening. So there was a choice. It was like, do you want to stay here or do you want to go and try and chase these other things?
Yep.
And I sort of had a foot in either world for a little while. But when the Mercury came up and it just seemed like a really good gig for someone who grew up in Hobart reading the Mercury. I was like, yeah, cool.
Part of an institution. Yeah.
It's one of those things where you think, I'll just do it for 5 years, and then suddenly 20 years have gone by and you're one of the old guys.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I don't know how that happened.
I had that same story at my job here. I told my old man 12 months, I'll help you out. And I'm still here, 11 years later? So, know that feeling.
But could you imagine yourself doing anything else now?
No.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine you doing anything else now. Like, I know you went and did some hospitality. And
Well, we know I'm not going to take Jarrad's job because I can't spell at all. So that rules me out of that industry.
Well, Jarrad, how's that if you've been at the real estate journalism now? How has it evolved, to today versus when you started? Like you said, it was in good news stories. Has that always just been that?
For real estate, things have changed really quickly. We used to do, we used to do like 4 stories a year or something, and now it's just like a constant bang, bang, bang all the time.
Is that because you have access to greater data now? Like before, real estate agents, we used to pretty much be the only people that had the data. Now with things like CoreLogic and
that's a big part of it.
RP
absolutely.
data and all the same company. I was thinking REIT. A lot more companies are providing data to the public. Is that like helped
Absolutely.
you guys become more confident with writing content?
I think that is probably half of it. And the other half is that I got lucky that when I started doing real estate full time, the market was probably fine, just like slow and steady. And then it went zoom. And so the interest was there. The stories were just coming at me at a rate of knots.
Well, we know you'll write about anything. You wrote about us.
Absolutely.
hey, we found our feet now, guys, and we're kicking goals.
Yeah, 100%.
Jared's clearly listened to enough to realise he's like, this can't ruin my career. This can only boost it.
I've waited till episode 30.
I know some of the great stories that you're writing, though, especially when you've got, different couples and individuals, even in areas saying, hey, we bought our first home here or sold our last home here. How are you actually finding those stories?
I think one of the hardest parts of my job is finding those people who are happy to spill their guts to the paper and be in a photo and all that sort of stuff. I think Tasmanians are maybe a little more shy about saying I spent $200,000 more than I should on this home. Or, things that happen in Sydney and Melbourne. I'm a little jealous of some of the stories they do in Sydney and Melbourne, honestly, when I look around at the auction, the fierce battles at the auctions or the typical Sydney $1 million dump story. Like, we don't have that here. It's not part of our industry. But I think from time to time it'd be fun to write one of those stories.
I suppose even if it did, it sort of, just flies by under the radar.
Absolutely.
Yeah, or like a flash. Actually, there was an article I saw on Domain yesterday about some house that used to have Tasmanian devils in it. Have you seen this one? It was like a zoo house. It's I sent it through to the.
Oh, and Fitzroy.
No, here in Hobart.
Was that Napoleon Street?
Yeah, in Battery Point.
Is that what it is?
Former zoo. Yeah.
Former zoo used to have Tasmanian devils in it and stuff. I was like, whoa, like this is something to check out. Yeah, rarely would we get something along the lines of that coming up. So
Like an every week thing for us for sure.
Yeah.
And I guess it's a matter of me actually being in contact with people and having them be aware that I just always want this stuff.
Yeah.
Like a lot of agents are good at ringing me and saying, hey, I've got this weird thing. You know,
This
is
weird
it-
thing.
Is it
Yeah,
something? And I'm always like, weird? Yes, absolutely. We love weird.
Well, it was like
Sign me
that.
up.
It was like the one that I had when the house had the 2 trams in
I
it.
was thinking about that just last night.
Yeah, but then
Doesn't he like to bring these trams up?
Oh yeah,
Oh, bloody
that's all I've
time.
got. But the thing was that what I just realised then is it's all well and good to have a good old story, but then it's the human element that makes
100%.
it really, really interesting.
That's part of like my dream for any story is finding the data myself, so I know that I'm the only one working on it. I'm not competing with other reporters around the place. Finding the human people to say, yeah, that was our experience and what you're talking about is right, and then having the expert, the REIT or the CoreLogic person or whatever, giving their 2 bob.
You're sort of backing up with the credibility of the industry kind of
That's it.
style. Yeah,
Yeah.
gotcha. Well, how's that changed from when you first started? One, I think I asked that question, but I'll ask it in a different way.
Good journalism.
Exactly. But that's
Try and get the real answer from this time.
shocking at this. But I was asking the question how you're searching for that as articles, but then in terms of relevance, then for journalists, especially even in this real estate space too, where we're competing with so much information. How is that your journey now creating cut through to the market?
Don't think I've had trouble with cut through yet. While things have been going so well, my stories have all been flying. They've been getting good spots in the paper and as many clicks as we can possibly get online, which has become more and more important 2019 compared to 4 years ago.
Which even in 5 years, that's still
It's
phenomenal.
dramatic. Yeah, I said to my boss earlier this year at my performance review, actually. She said to me, what were your best stories this year? And I said, once upon a time would have been this one that was on the front page, that one that was on the front page. Whereas now it's like, did that one get 2,000 clicks? Did that one get 4,000? Like,
right.
I'm looking at things completely. And sometimes that's the same story.
but the measuring of the metrics is so different
That's
based
right,
on
it really is.
kind of is it clickbaity or does it have something that jumps out like a crazy it's a Tasmanian devil story.
That's right,
Over a house sells for this much in like Chigwell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's one thing that it's exciting where you said real estate often is there are so many good news stories where you don't have to go out and search for a clickbait story to make something up just to engage. It's just that it's a heart connection that most Australians have. So it's always something that we're going to be drawn to.
Absolutely. And especially if it's happening in someone's backyard, they want to know what's happening with their neighbour, what's happening with the suburb across from them, if their house is worth more than theirs. Or whatever. Like people get caught up in that stuff, which is it's kind of like sport. It's like it's all part of the game. I don't think, if we say in the paper that Chigwell's median price is going up and up and up or whatever, it doesn't matter to the people who live there.
It's all the
Doesn't
people
affect them
outside
day
the
to day.
game.
Yeah.
Everyone else is looking at it like, why them?
Yeah.
Why not me?
Everyone's getting out their yardsticks and going,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I wish I'd have bought there 4 years ago. Why didn't I get into
10 years
this?
ago, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I had an opportunity once, I really could have bought there. Oh, okay. Did you?
Nope.
Yeah. The other side of that is I've met plenty of people who are like, I bought this little place for 70,000 in Tranmere in
just shut up.
1954. And
Just sold it for
$1 million.
$700.
Well, it's just sometimes I'll say it's like, how is that information helpful to me?
What I love is when they then squirrel over the last 10 or 15,000 when they've told you that story.
Yeah.
Like you're down to that last little bit of the negotiation and the vendor's been a real hard person wanting that last bit more. I'm like, come on, you already told me you bought it for $50,000. We've got you 550,000. What's an extra 10? Come on, help me out here.
So I actually haven't checked out the paper today. So this is going out on the 31st of October. So it's Halloween here. But just this week, the paper shrunk.
Absolutely.
Does that change the guide at all? Did you guys shrink as well?
We did shrink a little bit as well.
Yeah.
Does that mean your stories have to shrink in size?
Probably a tiny bit. Like maybe I'll write.
Less 30 words.
Well, yeah. I mean, it might not even. Maybe it's 100.
Yeah.
On that digital topic, I'll still write 800 for the web, so it doesn't really matter.
Yep. And then will someone come in and editorialise, or you'll do that yourself? Yep.
Yeah, just write
So
a
you're
long
basically
version, write a
doing
slightly
two
shorter version.
versions, eh? You're doing a print and an online version
I
at
mean,
times.
mostly I'll just be like chop, 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 like 6 pars, gone, done. Yeah, easy.
All the good stuff that's at the bottom that you don't get to.
That's exactly how
you
they
get to
teach
put
you
all
to
your fun
write.
in.
Put the good stuff at the top.
Yep.
I really like the New Size Real Estate Guide. It's like more of like a magazine now than it feels like you can read it in more accessible spots. I always think newspapers on aeroplanes shouldn't exist. But now it kind of feels like it could. Like I could easily read
absolutely.
it. And I always wonder, like you get onto the plane and the front of the plane there, they've got those free newspapers and it's always a freaking Australian, which is like...
the spreadsheet.
yeah, and then you're watching these old men trying to read a newspaper and they've got their arms across 2 chairs and I'm like...
punching you in the face, being obnoxious. Yeah.
Mate, if you get to sit at the front of the plane, you can be as obnoxious as you want.
Yeah.
It's just how it rolls.
Yeah, so I think the New Size is good though.
The 2 things I wanted to know was it going to be more or less or the same number of stories? And so far it's been more, which is positive.
Yep.
And the other thing is the font size, because obviously lots of newspaper readers are older. You don't want to be shrinking it down and
And then they can't see it.
then they can't see it.
Yep.
See, that's something I hadn't thought of, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
just
massive
a simple thing like,
consideration, yeah.
font size.
Yeah. Oh, big time. Yeah. It's the same when you see it on their phone with the screen filled up with like 4 words because they've got it on the mega.
It's my
like,
dad.
414 Real Estate has been operating within the northern suburbs of Hobart since 2006. With their innovative approach to marketing and managing your property, they have all your property needs covered. Find out more by visiting them today at 414.com.au.
Well, have you found that the way that you write the stories has changed over the years? Given is the demographics engaging with the print itself versus the online? Have you found you had to change the way that you write?
I might have changed the way that I write, but just in that everybody gets better with more repetition at anything that they do.
Okay.
I think John, the way I read his question, I'm going to rephrase it,
Yeah,
is
please.
John's from the outside, I think he's imagining like an older demographic is reading the newspaper where a younger demographic might be reading online. So you're adapting the language used to appease the different people that are reading it.
And also too, like your readership base too. You know, if it was 20 years ago versus today, are the stories different?
So you're using words like YOLO and that on your online.
I can't quite get my question. It's been a long week.
There was, I did notice there was an LOL in the letters to the editor on Monday or Tuesday. It was like, that's got to be a first. Yeah, I don't really
Change it.
I don't really change it if I'm writing. I'm kind of
Good.
always
Stay
writing.
true to yourself.
I'm writing for both at all times anyway.
Yeah.
It's not completely rare, but it's less often that I'm writing something that would be just for the web.
Yeah. Okay.
And part of that is if you can get it into the paper, the editor's behind it, it's going to get a better spot on the website. It's going to get more clicks anyway, so it's kind of hand in hand.
Yeah. I guess I was asking the question just and specifically for the real estate space is that, you know, you're not writing a story just for the clickbait to get attention. You're still searching for a great story first.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
it's
and I
always-
guess when you guys are writing your text for your listings, you're trying to capture an audience with the property and you've got a certain amount of space to fill that in with your words.
Yep.
So you're not thinking like, oh, should I drop some YOLOs and stuff in this?
Yeah.
Unless maybe you've got this like brand new super tech home that Pat would love with like the Google Homes and everything adapt like a smart house. You might be like, YOLO everybody, like, get in your smart house.
Actually, now you say that, I want to get your opinion. What's your opinion on real estate agent ads?
Please don't comment on mine.
Please go for it, mate. This is going to be fun.
Then everybody's got a different way of doing things, I suppose. That's changed over the years too. You can see that even people selling the same house like 2 years apart, like one might have like really almost like tweets, just like dot point, get out. And the other one's done 1,000-word like walkthrough telling you what the ceiling looks like in every room or whatever.
Yeah.
I think there's probably a time and a place and a good fit for both.
Okay.
The thing that's really changed dramatically as far as ads, and it's lifted the guide as well, is everyone's got such great photography. Well, almost everyone's got such great photography now.
Especially 414. It's amazing what you can do now with the tools at your disposal. It's crazy that you can pop a drone up and get a view of. We're so blessed here in Hobart that the mountain is basically your perfect backdrop for anything. Like if you're ever stuck for, how will I frame this photo? It's like, well, if I can show that the mountain looks like that near this photo, and the river's over there, boom, I've got a hero photo without even trying. And then, it just branches out from that. Like we've discussed in previous episodes, used to be sketch artists that would just draw a little picture, or it used to be you'd wait for the roll of film. Now you can literally send me out in the morning, I'll take the photos, and you could have it sent through, listed by the afternoon.
Absolutely.
Well, I remember going back a while now, the Mercury used to send out their photographer for editorials. So now we just email your photos through Aaron or whatever photo we put through for an editorial. And the Mercury will just use the ones that already exist, where they used to go and send their own individual person out to.
Yeah,
because shoot every house.
Yeah.
I suppose, because now they're just, everything's just done by professionals at this point.
Yeah, that's it. And these photos, like, if you go out and do a house and spend 4 hours on it, but my photographer's got like 20 minutes to zoom in.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not getting the drone shot. We're not getting the sunrise picture. We're not.
Oh, it's people like, you've got to spend that long here. And I'm like, well, if you really want the photos to compete with
top dollar.
Yeah. do you want it to compete with everybody else? Well, like just go have a coffee.
The standard's just lifted so high.
It's amazing. And it's great working with John and Pat and like talking about the way different agents will sell properties differently. John's storytelling in like the tram article that you guys talked about before. Like I made that video, but I went back and rewatched it because John's storytelling of you're traveling on a train and you're doing I'm just like, oh man, I want to buy this property. Like I have zero interest in the property, but I want to buy it just from your storytelling. Like that kind of thing sold me on it.
We should do a follow-up, really. I wonder who owns it now.
We can put you in touch. She actually did a
Content.
Well, that ABC did a feature on the train history of Tasmania, and they reached out to her. Yeah, she'd love to.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Because the other thing too, with those properties, you really don't know who's going to buy it.
Yeah.
And that's part of the fun for me is seeing, okay, who's going to fall in love with this place? And inevitably, I'm always wrong, which is you just think this would be an appropriate person, and then there's come way out west and go, well, I wasn't expecting, but that again comes to where that great story comes from. And you should, mate, reach out.
That'd be great.
Put you in touch. Yeah.
As a family-run business, First National Real Estate McGregor understands that the property market can be stressful. However, with a strong team in both sales and rentals, we are here to guide you through the property maze. Find out more today at mcgregorfn.com.
I've noticed your footwear there, Jarrad, is quite outlandish. We may have to get a photo. I did a little bit of research prior to the show when I went onto your Instagram and saw that you were really big into are they Air Force Ones or Nike? Yep. So you're into your Nike sneakers.
Max today.
Pat is a wild, avid fan, so we've got a bit of a shoe off going on. But
I did spend more time choosing my shoes this morning than I did what I put on to wear. I was looking at the shelf thinking, which ones will I wear today?
Jarrad's still one, mate.
I know. Well, I wanted to go Nikes, and I didn't have a lot of outlandish Nikes, so...
Well, Pat was just showing me an agent in Sydney just the other day. What was is it Novak or something? Or
no, it was Gavin Rubenstein.
Are you all over this guy? All right, so this guy...
He's like the sharp-dressed real estate agent, man.
Okay. He's super sharp dressed in kind of a shiny, chic suit.
But if you go through his Instagram page... Every photo.
He's got white Air Force Ones on, and they just must be part of his branding.
Oh, really?
So he's got like most expensive suits you'll ever probably own in every photo.
Yeah, right.
Paired with a pair of white Air Force Ones.
So I've got two questions in regards to this. Is where and why is this shoe craze? Like, what got you into it? Because I don't understand shoes. Shoes for me are literally go into the shop, grab them, put them on, and then I'm going to wear them to death. But like I know people get like shoe cleaning kits, and you got a special box for... No, that was your hats.
That's my hats.
Yeah. I don't understand.
I'm a bit of a collector.
What's going on?
Where did your obsession begin?
Excellent. Yeah, okay. So the shortest version is it's Michael Jordan's fault.
I think it's his fault for a lot of people, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just I grew up playing basketball. I'm still obsessed with it today. Like he had just the coolest of everything.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just the way that Chicago team dominated there's
This
just
is like
something
when it
about
was like
it's
Scottie
so
Pippen
appealing.
and Luke
Absolutely.
Longley and all like the super
Six
squad.
championships and
Yeah.
all that stuff. So that got me into it when I was young, and obviously I was like, pestering mum and dad, like, oh, I need those ones, I need those ones. They're like, that is a stupid price. Get real.
Yeah. At least you had good taste.
And eventually you grow up and you start making your own money and you realise Nike's re-releasing that stuff you couldn't get when you were young. So you buy a bit of that and 10 pairs turns into 20 pairs. And that was normal-ish, I guess. Then it was the period a while ago where the Aussie dollar was like $1.07.
Oh, yeah, when we got like
yeah,
right
okay.
into a good spot. Yep.
Yep.
That was a perfect storm for me because I had disposable income. You could easily find like a discount code or whatever on American shops. They deliver in 5 days, so I was even quicker than shopping in Australia.
Yep.
That Aussie dollar is why I have like 80 hats.
Absolutely.
Like every time a special edition hat came out that was only in America, I would buy it and ship it over because the Aussie dollar was so strong. So on the same boat.
I was pretty much getting, at the time, it was Kobe Bryant shoes for basketball. I've got like 40 pairs or something because every other week they'd release a new colour and I'd be like, oh, damn, that one's awesome too.
That one's way better than the last one.
My wife used to joke that it's, look, it's New Shoe Friday because I'd order them on the Saturday and by Friday we'd be getting that delivery.
So are we ordering the new SpongeBob SquarePants shoes that are coming out this week?
So, yeah, Kyrie, the flat earth thing bothers me a little bit with him. He seems like a bit of a crazy guy. So, yeah, I think that one's more for the kids. I'll back away.
So I don't follow the actual name behind the shoe. It's just how outlandishly colourful
You just
it
like the
is.
colours and the pictures.
And
yeah.
you do a collaboration with Disney and I'm all over it. Like, give me Mickey Mouse and a shoe and I'm there.
The collaboration game is just, that's what's running the shoe industry these days. It's all
It's kind of like
Kanye West shoes and
Yeah.
still Jordans. And
it's kind of like the Lego, how they kind of almost faded away and disappeared into nothing, and then they started collaborating
collaborate
with
with NASA,
Yeah.
collaborate with
Star
friends.
Wars.
Star Wars.
and then now it's all branded content. Like you can't find any original. Like Lego isn't just like Lego Pirates; it's
Yeah,
Lego
Lego
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Lego Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, it's limited edition, so
Yeah.
everybody gets in a frenzy.
Well, I
like
tell
our
you-
housing market.
Yeah. Next thing we'll be doing collaborations.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, there's collaborations between agents, aren't there?
Yeah.
Start
Well,
using
like the
limited
property pod.
edition as the heading to my next property.
Absolutely.
And it might move it quicker.
YOLO limited edition.
I'll get a collaboration with that guy who does that. Yeah, boy. That's the best I'll get.
Well, like, look, hopefully, if the podcast hasn't done anything, it's humanised a few agents out there, and it shows
Like I
that.
said, try and take the wank factor out of it.
Indeed, I love that.
which
got
that
printed.
got featured too.
I love that they got printed.
my one bit.
I don't even know you could use language like that in the newspaper.
Sometimes
Slip that one through to the keeper. No, that was brilliant. Well, Jarrad, thank you so much for coming in. It's been an absolute blast having you on the other side of the mic.
no problem. Thank you.
And if I could just ask one question, then is it?
This
where-
is John's typical thing, just trying to wrap up, and John just keeps going.
Where do you think the future of real estate journalism might lead you, or even if someone was trying to get into it?
I would love someone to get into it. It'd be awesome to have another reporter to work with.
There you go.
Yeah, where might it lead? I mean, I'd love to write the first Hobart house sold for $10 million story. Hopefully I'm still around long enough to see that.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, we'll be on the hunt for you, mate.
6.5, I'm just still sitting on that one.
Oh, 6.5, there you go.
6.5, that was a good one. That was big. Where might it lead? Back to music writing.
I was going to say, I was like, throwing out a dream world scenario is like, what band could call you and say, we need you to come and write for us, Jarrad? This is going to be it.
Oh, look, probably someone who died at 27, unfortunately.
The magic number.
I'm not getting the Kurt Cobain phone call.
Well, if you were going to do a real estate collaboration, then who would you do it with? Some
A
famous.
collab. I'd have to do it with REA because that's who we're linked with.
Now you've got that out of the way. Which famous person?
have their branding on
An open home featuring Metallica playing in the front yard.
God, I had tickets to that, and then I went back into rehab. Anyway, back to the story. Who you got?
Who went into rehab?
Hetfield.
Hetfield.
really?
Yeah, we had
Yeah.
tickets to that, and I was in Melbourne at the time too.
Oh, right. Anytime I see they're cancelling gigs, I just assume, the ears are broken or
Yeah.
something like that. Collaboration. I don't know. Invite me back for another pod and I'll give you a
I reckon,
answer on
if we get the original, was it the '93 Bulls team when Jordan and the crew were around? Was that about that era? What year was that? Okay, like yeah, with Scotty Pippen and all that.
Like
Was
get
it
them to
early?
play down at Doan Entertainment Centre.
Yeah. With their full collaboration with the full team back in Glenorchy.
Dennis Rodman.
That'll happen. Yeah.
Well, I heard Jarrad say that we have to get him back, so I'm more than happy to hold him to that. We'll
cool.
maybe when we get to episode 60, we'll hit you up and and see if we're still going strong.
Done deal.
Awesome. Thanks for coming in, Jarrad.
Excellent. Thanks for that,
Awesome
mate.
to have you here.
That's all right.
Good to have you back, J-Mac.
Thanks, boys.
John's personal fan club up the back there.
Thanks, guys. See ya. You have been listening to The Property Pod, produced and edited by 414 Media House in conjunction with 414 Real Estate and McGregor First National Propriety Limited.
This podcast is general information only, and the thoughts and views expressed is the opinion of our panel, and listeners should always seek and use their own investigation into any topic we discuss to ensure they fully understand their own situation.
It does not constitute and should not be relied on as purchasing, selling, financial or investment advice or recommendations, express or implied, and it should not be used as an invitation to take up any agent or investment services. No investment decision or activity should be undertaken on the basis of this information.